All right, welcome back and thank you very much for staying with us. Imagine what life looks like without retirement savings. That's what some people go through after working for the rest of their lives and retire with nothing. Many seniors are stuck with lives of never-ending work, a fate that could befall millions in the coming decades. So if today's seniors are struggling with retirement savings, what will become of the people of working age today, many of whom hold unsteady jobs and have little incomes that leave little room for retirement savings? Well, the current wave of senior citizens' poverty could just be the beginning. So to tell us more about this is Ezekiel Matope, who is an entrepreneur and author of Spirit-Filled But With No Money. And of course, he's here to tell us about some issues regarding financial literacy within the sector of people, or rather a group of people who are working and earning less. Thank you so much for coming to our program, sir.
Good afternoon, Colin.
Yes.
And
tell us about the trend of people.
To your viewers.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about, the trend of people who are working, earning less, and with little room to save for retirement.
Early retirements and retrenchments has become a common occurrence in this day and age. Due to economic hardships, you'll find that companies are forced to lay off some workers. And when that happens, it's your low income earning workers that suffer, right? Because you'll find that in most companies, they only give out benefits to your professional workers, to their professional workers. But when it comes to the low income workers, they are laid off and they go home with nothing.
Yeah, so that is the problem, because then when you talk about that category of employees, it's as a result of casualization of the workplace, where people work on a part-time basis. So now if somebody is earning little, and given the cost of living right now, how does one spend for their livelihood to make ends meet? And then what is it that they must do in order to be safeguarded for retirement packages when they are no longer working?
Right. There is a difference between active income and passive income. And we need to educate our people to slowly move from active income to passive income. Because you can show up at work one day and find the doors are closed. I was dealing with one issue where the employer disappeared. He was nowhere to be found. And here are the workers, they show up for work and only to discover that the boss is no more coming for good. So we need to educate our people towards building a passive income, because in this day and age where we are living, it's no longer safe just to depend on one job. It's no longer safe at all, because due to the economic hardships, the boss can decide to close his company at any time.
Yeah. So then how do you look for another job when you're working this one? Where else would you look to? Because the current economic climate doesn't really provide for people to get multiple jobs, because companies are retrenching now.
Right. For instance, I am a pastor. And I've discovered that each time that I counsel people or pray for people, the requests that they bring to me are almost similar. For example, people will tell you, I'm looking for a job, I can't find it. I've been retrenched, I've lost my job. So what I did myself as a pastor is that I designed a program for my church where I started to train them entrepreneurial skills, and I developed about 6 volumes of books of different courses to help my church members.
Okay, so I want us to go through the process of people who are working for organizations that give them minimum wage, and the salary is not enough until month end. There's an expression that we say there's so much month left until the end of the money.
Correct.
So in terms of that, and given that it's savings month, we're talking about the issue of South Africa being a poor savings nation. South
Correct.
Africans don't save much.
Correct.
And it seems like when we discuss savings month, we're talking above the level of people who are earning minimum wages. So how do we address those people? Because if we're going to make it church-oriented, still church doesn't provide jobs. So I'm talking about people across the board on the economic landscape where the economy is subdued.
Right. What happens is that the cost of living has become so high. You'll find that to most people, month end is month end. You know, when the money comes, it's already gone, it's finished, because they earn little. The only solution to that is to then develop some skills that can bring you extra money besides your work salary.
Mm-hmm. And you know what, I'll paint a picture. Out of the 9 provinces that we have in South Africa, there are people who work for NGOs, and I want to include you as well. If you are church oriented, you know that most people would serve NGOs or churches for the rest of their lives, but
Correct.
Come retirement age, it will throw you out with your children.
Correct.
And not having saved for retirement. So how then should that be addressed in terms of securing a secured financial life with financial wellness, with everything, the fundamentals in place, so to say, so that people don't end up living in poverty, whereas they've been working throughout their lives?
Right. You are right, especially when you talk about NGOs. I've witnessed pastors who serve their churches with all of their heart. And the moment they retire or the moment they die, the church does not care what happens to the family. And we're dealing with a case right now where we're trying to help a pastor's widow to buy a house. Because the church, as soon as they buried the pastor, what happens to that widow and the family, it was none of their business. So we're trying to also educate churches to say, you don't have to just speak faith and not do something about the pastor's future, because it affects their health, it affects their families as well. Because the moment you retire as a pastor, most pastors are still staying in mission houses. You are given maybe a month or 2 to vacate that house. And the church does not care where you're going. And to me, I feel it's abuse that needs to be confronted in churches.
All right. There's an issue that we'll have to address with various NGOs and take the story forward. But thank you very much for making time to speak to us on issues related to savings.
Correct.